Nathan Carter always believed his life was stable. At 34, he had built a solid career as a marketing executive for a thriving tech company, Baxter Solutions, and married his college sweetheart, Emma. To him, their 5-year marriage was a testament to their bond, built on years of shared dreams and challenges. Emma, with her infectious laughter and sharp wit, had always been his anchor in the chaotic world of deadlines and high-stakes pitches. Lately, though, Nathan's world had felt off-kilter. The demands of his job had grown exponentially under his boss, Victor Monroe, the company's ambitious and charismatic CEO. Victor was a man who commanded respect. With his chiseled features, tailored suits, and a voice that could persuade anyone of anything, he was the epitome of power. Nathan admired him but couldn't ignore the man's predatory charm, especially around women. The first seeds of unease were planted at a corporate gala 6 months ago. It was a lavish event held at an upscale hotel downtown, a celebration of Baxter Solutions' latest successful quarter. Nathan had brought Emma along, excited to introduce her to his colleagues and give her a glimpse into his professional world. Emma had always been effortlessly elegant, but that night, she outshone everyone. Clad in a sleek black dress, she drew admiration from every corner of the room. Nathan couldn't help but beam with pride. However, his joy dimmed when Victor approached. "Emma, isn't it?" Victor said, his voice smooth and commanding. He took her hand, lingering a moment longer than necessary. "Nathan's told me about you, but I didn't realize he was underselling." Emma blushed, caught off guard by the compliment. "That's kind of you," she said, her tone polite but measured. Nathan laughed awkwardly, attempting to redirect the conversation, but Victor kept his focus on Emma, engaging her in conversation about art and travel, subjects Nathan knew she was passionate about. It wasn't until much later, when they were driving home, that Nathan voiced his discomfort. "Victor was a bit much tonight, don't you think?" Emma dismissed it with a wave of her hand. "He's just charming. You're reading too much into it." Nathan wanted to let it go, but something gnawed at him. Over the following weeks, Victor began mentioning Emma in casual conversations. He'd ask Nathan how she was or make comments about her presence at the gala. It felt intrusive, but Nathan brushed it off as his boss's peculiar way of building rapport. As the months wore on, Nathan found himself buried under an avalanche of work. Victor had a knack for assigning last-minute projects with tight deadlines, often requiring late nights and weekend hours. While Nathan toiled away at the office, Emma seemed to grow more distant. She was spending more time out of the house, meeting friends, or attending yoga classes she hadn't mentioned before. One evening, Nathan returned home earlier than expected, hoping to surprise Emma with takeout from her favorite restaurant. The house was eerily quiet. As he set the bags on the kitchen counter, he noticed a familiar jacket draped over the back of a chair. It was an expensive gray blazer, one he recognized immediately, Victor's. Nathan's heart began to race. He moved through the house, his footsteps heavy against the hardwood floor. As he approached the bedroom, he heard voices, muffled, intimate. Pushing the door open, he froze. There, in the dim light, stood Emma and Victor, too close for comfort. Victor's hand rested on Emma's shoulder, and the tension in the air was suffocating. "Nathan!" Emma exclaimed, her face draining of color. Victor, ever composed, stepped back, adjusting his tie. "This isn't what it looks like," he said, though the words rang hollow. Nathan felt as though the ground had been ripped out from under him, his vision blurred with anger and heartbreak. Without a word, he turned and left the house, the sound of Emma calling his name fading into the night. The days that followed were a haze. Nathan stayed at a friend's apartment, unable to face Emma or the betrayal that had shattered his world. His phone buzzed incessantly with messages and calls from her, each one a mix of apologies and pleas to talk. When he finally agreed to meet her, it was at a small cafe they had frequented in happier times. Emma looked worn, her eyes red from crying. "Nathan," she began, her voice trembling. "I'm sorry. I never meant for this to happen." "Then why did it?" Nathan's voice was cold, his pain barely concealed. Emma hesitated, her gaze fixed on the table. "I don't know." Maybe I was lonely. You've been so busy with work and Victor, he made me feel seen. Nathan clenched his fists under the table. So, while I was working myself to the bone to give us a better life, you turned to him? I'm not excusing what I did, Emma said, tears streaming down her face. I hate myself for hurting you. But it wasn't just about you. I felt lost, and Victor, she trailed off, unable to finish the sentence. Nathan stood abruptly, the chair scraping loudly against the floor. I can't do this, he said, his voice cracking. I need time. Back at work, facing Victor was unbearable. The man who had once been Nathan's mentor now felt like an enemy, his every word dripping with insincerity. Nathan couldn't look at him without imagining the betrayal that had unfolded behind closed doors. One afternoon, Nathan confronted Victor in his office. You've crossed every line imaginable, he said, his voice shaking with rage. Victor leaned back in his chair, his expression unreadable. I won't apologize for what happened, Nathan. Emma made her choices just as I did. If you want to blame someone, blame yourself for not being there for her. Nathan's fists clenched, but he forced himself to walk away. Engaging further would only deepen the wounds. In the weeks that followed, Nathan made the painful decision to leave Baxter Solutions. Staying there would have been a daily reminder of a shattered marriage and the man who had played a role in its destruction. He also filed for divorce, realizing that no amount of apologies could erase the betrayal. The process was excruciating. Each step felt like tearing away a piece of the life he had built with Emma. But with time, Nathan began to heal. He moved to a new city, started a new job, and focused on rediscovering himself. Though the scars of betrayal remained, Nathan found solace in the knowledge that he had chosen integrity over bitterness. The experience taught him the value of resilience and the importance of putting himself first. And while the shadows of betrayal lingered, Nathan knew they would eventually fade, replaced by the light of new beginnings.